All right, so welcome back to the channel, guys. Today, guys, we'll be doing our quarterfinal predictions of the CONCACAF Gold Cup. Now, before we predict the quarterfinals, I do want to take a look back at the group stage as well as talk about the bracket for the bracket for the Gold Cup as well. So let's go ahead and top of the bracket first, get that one out of the way. So basically, the winner of Qatar versus El Salvador will face the winner of USA versus Jamaica on the semifinal, and then the other side will have the winner of Mexico versus Honduras take on the winner of Costa Rica versus Canada. All right. So now that if you guys understand the bracket, basically that's how it's panned. So basically, a lot of people are expecting the USA versus Mexico as their final, and it could easily happen. It can very, very well happen. So we're gonna go ahead and look back at the group stage real quick, see if there's anything shocks or anything like that. So Group A, we had Mexico top in the group, El Salvador coming in second, Trinidad and Tobago coming in third, Guatemala coming in fourth. I don't think that this group was really particularly too surprising. I think that maybe the only thing that was surprising is maybe Trinidad getting third ahead of Guatemala, considering Trinidad were in very, very poor form coming into the Gold Cup. In fact, I even predicted Trinidad to finish bottom, if I'm being honest. So I think all in all, very, very interesting group, very straightforward group in the end. And I think the group went as expected. What I will say though is this though, Mexico, man, I'm a bit surprised at how many goals they scored. They only scored 4 goals. That's a bit worrying, and especially considering how much potential they have. And I think another interesting key thing to take note is that they have the best defense in the Gold Cup. They've conceded no goals in the tournament. They're the only nation in the Gold Cup that has not conceded. So yeah, man, El Salvador for me, they were pretty impressive. I'll give them a lot of credit. And so let's see how they do in the quarterfinals though. Group B, it went pretty much as expected. I think the only thing that might have been surprising is the fact that USA actually managed to top the group despite being largely unconvincing against both Haiti and Canada respectively. However, they did get the job done. They scored 8 goals. They were one of the nations that scored the most. They had a really good defense. And even though against Canada they had a really, really weird win, a very unconvincing win, they still managed to top the group just about. And I think for me, USA was really interesting. And interestingly enough, guys, Martinique is the only nation other than USA that actually scored against all 3 of the nations in the group. That is commendable considering they finished bottom. Canada and Haiti could not score against USA. So you got to give them a lot of credit for that, man. Huge, huge credit indeed must be given to Martinique because they actually exceeded my expectations. They actually scored against every single nation indeed. So give them a ton of credit. And for Canada in particular, despite their having great results overall coming into the USA game, they had that game against Haiti was very, very misdeceiving in that they had a 4-1 win, although in reality, they didn't really play that well as the scoreline suggested it would. So, all in all, not really too much to speak about there. Then Group C, you have Costa Rica that did top the group ahead of Jamaica, Suriname, Guadalupe. I think probably the biggest surprise is probably Costa Rica actually managed to topple Jamaica because I actually predicted Jamaica to top the group, and Costa Rica, man, they actually played really well. That final game against Jamaica was a game they probably shouldn't have won. But anyways, Jamaica did not play at their best. Obviously, Leon Bailey didn't play. Andre Blake didn't play. Shamar Nicholson, he missed so many opportunities against Suriname, Guadalupe, that is, I think. And I just think for me, Jamaica, man, they have put themselves in a very, very bad position. Now they have a very tough game against USA in the quarterfinals, which I'll obviously talk about later on in this video. However, I do believe this group isn't really too surprising. I think the surprising part is that Costa Rica managed to still top the group despite having a very poor game against Jamaica in that regard. So, there's that. Now, Group D, in my opinion, was probably the closest group, and I would say probably was the group of death ultimately because I think Qatar, they showed their credentials, actually managed to score the most goals in the Gold Cup with 9 goals, which is very, very impressive. And if you may look at their games more closely detailed, they probably should have scored more than 9. I mean, they had so many chances against Grenada and against Panama, respectively, and they probably should have buried the game more. But anyhow, they still managed to score 9 goals. Defensively looked pretty good, and for Honduras in particular, that was a huge, huge victory against Panama. That victory against Panama was an insane victory. The fact that they led first, Panama scored twice, and then they actually came from 2-1 deficit to actually win 3-2 is a huge, remarkable turnaround. And for Honduras, and in my opinion, they definitely exceeded my expectations. We saw what Honduras can do in the Nations League. We just about beat them 1-0 in a very unconvincing game. And I think Honduras, did they win I think they won the third place game. I think they did. So, all in all, man, Honduras, man, a nation that's on the prosper. And who knows, maybe these kind of performances they're putting out could be the ways they can get into that World Cup. Maybe they can push for a top 4 finish, which would be very commendable to say the least. So Honduras and El Salvador have definitely exceeded my expectations. Now that you guys got a preview, now that we talked about all the groups, let's go ahead and get into the knockout stage, the quarterfinals. So first quarterfinal is Qatar versus El Salvador. In my opinion, I think Qatar are the heavy favorites. I think Qatar, for me, they have a very, very good team, very good roster of players, and the players that they have is incredible. I mean, the fact that they played in the Copa America, the fact that they played in the Asian Cup, the fact that they even play in Europe is crazy to say. And Qatar look very, very serious indeed. And I think the biggest problem with Qatar in the group stage was the fact they didn't score enough goals. Although they didn't score as many as they should have. I feel like they probably should have scored way more than 9. They should have scored at least like 12 minimum. And I feel like for me that's going to be a huge thing. Is like, can they just take their opportunities and beat the opponent? As well as defensively, they have looked a bit vulnerable. We saw against Panama, they didn't really put out the best defensive game. Although, to be fair, Panama did play pretty well in that game. So I think for Qatar in particular, as long as they can just take their chances and score the opportunities, I think they'll be fine. You could see their top goal scorer in the Gold Cup has been, let me go check actually, who's it been? It's actually been, let's see, who's their top goal scorer? Let's go check that out. Their top goal scorer is Abduliz Hatran. Keep an eye on him. Arkim Afif, keep an eye on Almos Ali as well. Keep an eye on him. Very, very good players indeed. And I think these are the players to definitely watch out for Qatar if they are to score. And you would expect either of those players to score. As for El Salvador, don't get me wrong, they have been impressive. I have been impressed with what they did in the Group A. They did play pretty well against Guatemala and Trinidad and Tobago. However, Mexico, they failed to beat Mexico or even get a draw because they actually needed a draw at the top of the group. And although they did play well in the second half, they didn't really play that well in the first half, and I think that's ultimately what cost them the matches. That that first half was very, very sad indeed. And it's almost kind of like a game of two halves in the sense that Mexico dominated the first half. El Salvador played really well in the second half, however, just didn't take their chances. And I saw there was one they actually nearly scored. I think it was a free kick, if I'm not mistaken. They nearly scored indeed, and I feel bad for El Salvador because they did play well indeed. And a very nation that also impressed me very well in the Gold Cup. Unfortunately, though, I just don't think El Salvador have enough quality to beat Qatar. I think this will be a huge test for El Salvador. And who knows, man? They might prove me wrong. I would like to be proven wrong. Prove me wrong, El Salvadorians. You have the potential to do so. So all I will say is that Qatar, I think, will win this game 2-0. I think this will be a very low-scoring game. And I think this will be a game that could see Qatar leading 1-0 or 0-0. And then in the final minutes of the game, either it could end up being 2-0 or it could just be like 1-0 and then 2-0 or 0-0 and then 2-0 all of a sudden. I just have this feeling that Qatar, El Salvador will suffer a late heartbreak. I just have this feeling for some reason. And I think I'm going to say Qatar wins 2-0, guys, to book their spot in the semifinal, guys. Okay? So the next game we're going to talk about right now is going to be Mexico versus Honduras, another very interesting game. Obviously, Mexico have been very, very impressive in the Gold Cup. You look at the fact they've conceded no goals, and obviously the star player for Mexico will be Funes Mori. I think he's had a really, really good tournament for Mexico. And so where is he right here? Where is the guy? Funes Mori. He should be here. Oh, no, Funes Mori. It's Funes Mori. I'm sorry. My bad. It's Regila Funes Mori. This guy used to be Argentina, and now he has switched. He's now dual nationality with Mexico, I believe. And so this is the player you got to keep an eye on. He scored 2 goals against Guatemala. And I think for me, he's definitely a player you got to keep an eye on for. And you look at the fact the Gold Cup, he is one of their top goal scorers, I believe. Actually, no, he's not. Never mind. Take that back. Funes Mori, yeah. He's not top. He's actually third right now. Rogelio Funes Mori, keep an eye on him. He's the player to look out for. And I think the Lozano injury will definitely be troubling indeed. I think they're going to struggle with that. However, I do believe Mexico have enough quality in their pitch to do that. And you look at the team they have. You obviously have Talavera, Hector Moreno, Salcedo, Edson Alvarez, a player to keep an eye on. Jesus Corona, another player to keep an eye on. And Hector Herrera as well. And for El Salvador, I probably should have done this a bit earlier. We have Enriquez, Rivas, Perez, Montanez, Karen, And then for Qatar, let me just look at Qatar real quickly. Indeed, I'm sorry, I should have done this a lot earlier, but, I apologize in advance. Let me just do that real quick. In Qatar, you obviously have, let me just look at here because, Qatar, you obviously have Ali, Afif, I already talked about Hatim, Bodef, and Hadis, Ahmed Hassan, Bashim, Saad Ali Al-Shabib. That's a very good goalkeeper indeed. So, All in all, guys, I think for me, Mexico, they have enough quality to beat Honduras. Honduras, for me, they have been impressed. I have been impressed, especially the win against Panama. However, I do believe in that game against Qatar, they didn't really look that great. And even though they had more of the possession, they didn't really look that much attacking, which that is the problem for Honduras, is that if they can get their attacking threats right, I think they can do it. Because I think they need to be more attack-minded, and I think that's where they're going to really struggle in that regard. You look at the fact that Honduras, they got some players right here. You got obviously Lopez, Cristiano Alvarez, Cuito, Rodriguez Lopez, some of these good players, Acosta as well, a very good player indeed. And I just think for Honduras in particular, they just have to be attacked. You see right here, guys, 8 shots and none on target. That's very, very damaging indeed. And against Mexico, you need to be you have to be clinical. You have to be attack-minded to actually beat them. So I'm going to say Mexico wins this, guys, 2-0. I think, once again, it's going to be a very similar game to Qatar game. In the sense, I think Mexico will actually open the scoring quite early on, and then Honduras will try their best to get the equalizer, and then Mexico will score a late goal and stoppage time to secure the dub. So I'm going to say Mexico wins 2-0. I might be wrong, guys. Let's see. I could also see a 1-0 win, but I'm going to say Mexico wins 2-0. And then finally, we move on to quite possibly the trickiest game of the quarterfinals, and that is Costa Rica versus Canada. Now, Costa Rica, in my opinion, they have been pretty impressive. I think, for me, they topped the group, which is a bit surprising, some would say. And you look at the game against Jamaica in the sense they only had 5 shots, 1 target, but they still managed to win. Obviously, player to look out for is Campbell. I would keep an eye on Ruiz, as well as another player to keep an eye on Guzman as well. And for Costa Rica, man, they just looked really, really good indeed. Whereas for Canada, on the other hand, although they didn't really look good against Martinique and Haiti, they haven't really been as convincing as I would expect them to be. And, Canada, obviously, we don't know how the injury is going to be like. Obviously, Carl Lauren, let's see, he'll either play tomorrow because he did get injured against the USA. I'm not sure whether he'll be fit enough to start. Obviously, you also have Acanelo that also, I believe, got injured as well. So let me go check Carl Lauren. Let's see how he's like, whether he'll play tomorrow or not. So Carl Lauren doesn't say right here. News. Let me just check the news real quick. Let me see whether he'll be. Yes, right here, guys. Right here. Carl Lauren and Ao Akinola are injured for the remainder of this tournament. So you can see right here, guys, that it's going to be very, very huge. Those are huge, huge losses indeed. And that's going to be very difficult for Canada. That's going to be very, very difficult indeed for Canada. And I feel like if Canada is very serious in trying to, you'd make a statement here, they have to have those players fit, and unfortunately for them, they don't. Obviously, against USA, I think one player to keep an eye on that I think could make a difference and could be a person to make a difference is going to be this guy in particular, Buchanan. He had a really, really good chance to score, just cannon off the crossbar, I believe, and I think that's a player I would keep an eye on. And yeah, guys, but for Canada, man, I just think for me, they look great. Their play is good. It's just they don't have a clinical forward. They just don't have anyone in the forward area that can score. And I just don't trust Cavallini. Cavallini is this guy just misses abundance of chances. This guy just misses abundance of chances. And I think for me, this is a Canada team that is on the rise. I think they're looking great for World Cup qualifiers. But I just think for me that this B team in Canada is just nowhere near the first team, and they look completely out of shape. Well, not completely out of shape, but they don't look anywhere near as strong as the first team. And you look at the game, right, the stats, right, Canada 14 shots, 3 on target, and couldn't even score whatsoever. So I think for Costa Rica, this will be a game of very, very low margins. I think this will be a very low scoring affair. And I'm going to say originally, let me just say this right now, guys. Let me just say this right now. If Canada was at full strength and had Cal Lauren and Akinola played, I probably would pick Canada to win. But because those two players are out injured, which I think are huge, huge losses indeed, I actually believe Costa Rica will prevail. I think Costa Rica will prevail, and I think this can go to penalties. I think Costa Rica, this might end 0-0, and I think Costa Rica wins on penalties. Or, if that doesn't happen, Costa Rica wins 1-0. Either of which is going to happen. And yeah, guys, so I think that's what's going to happen. And for Costa Rica in particular, man, what a statement it would be to get to the semifinals. And then finally, we have the final game here is the USA versus Jamaica. Now, obviously, for this one, I'm going to do the preview as I would do. However, I will not give a prediction. I will not do a prediction. I will do the prediction once the lineup comes out on Sunday. So when the lineup comes out on Sunday, I'll give you guys my prediction. I'll still do the match preview. I'll still talk about the game. I just won't do a prediction on this video. So if you want to know that prediction, check out when I do my match preview on Sunday around 8:30 p.m. ish. At that time, you'll see my lineup reaction. You'll also see the Jamaica lineup, and I can go in depth and give you guys how am I truly feeling. Let me just say this right now, as a fellow U.S. men's national team fan, this is going to be a very difficult game against Jamaica. Jamaica, for me, I think is a nation that can cause us damage. They have beaten us quite before on numerous occasions. Obviously, they did beat us, I believe, in a friendly prior to the Gold Cup in January 2019. I believe in like March 2019, something like that, in the preparation for the Gold Cup. And I think for me, Jamaica, obviously, we played against them in the final of the 2017 edition, semifinal 2019 edition, which we have prevailed. We won on both occasions. And I think for the U.S. in particular, it will be a moment for Greg Berhalter to finally authorize his claim and maybe add another silverware to his cabinet after winning the Nations League. And for the U.S. in particular, I'm going to be really interested to see how the U.S. will do against this Jamaica team, because this Jamaica team, to be fair, has been pretty good. This Jamaica team's been pretty good. To their credit, I've been really impressed with Jamaica. Jamaica has done. You look at the players. Obviously, I'm going to keep an eye on Matthew Hope. I think this is a guy that could do something out of nothing. Keep an eye on him. I would keep an eye on also on Busio. He just made his big move to Serie A club Venezuela. Venice, I think it's called, something like that. He moved to Serie A, basically. That's what I know. I would keep an eye on Daryl DK. I know he didn't really have a good game against Canada. However, I would still keep an eye on him. He could have a great game. And by the way, guys, Zimmerman is out injured for the remainder of this tournament. Zimmerman will be out injured, so he will not be able to play whatsoever. So that's going to be a huge loss indeed. Kellen Acosta as well has been good. And Sam Shackmore has been good. Vine's been decent. And all in all, Matt Turner has been good. And this USA team, although they haven't really looked that convincing on the eye, they have been rather effective. And that's what's very key in these kind of tournaments, is that it's not about your play style. It's about being effective. At the end of the day, guys, you come over here to win the tournament. Your goal is to win the tournament, and you have to achieve it in whatever way possible. Yes, it'll be amazing if you could play well and get the victories. Obviously, that's the most ideal scenario. But ultimately, it's about getting the effectiveness. It's about being effective. And that's what's very key in these kind of tournaments, is that you have to be effective. Whereas Jamaica, on the other hand, I don't think they have been as effective as the U.S. have been. I feel like for me, Jamaica, you look at that game against Costa Rica, in a game which they really needed to win, and their coach put out a B team, supposedly. You saw you didn't even see Leon Bailey getting in the starting 11. You saw Andre Gray start, and these kind of players. And for I think for Whitmore in particular, he has to put out his strongest starting 11. And I feel like for me, Jamaica, they always have this issues with their starting 11, in that they always seem to never start their strongest players. They always seem to start they always seem to have selection issues. So, Shamar Nicholson, and Leon Bailey, you got these players, obviously Michael Hector as well, so Williams, overall, man, I think this is a Jamaica team that can be interesting. Obviously, look at the game against Costa Rica, in the sense they had to win that game. And even though they did put out a B team, they largely dominated the game, 18 shots, 5 on target, but couldn't score a goal. And it kind of is giving me the Canada vibes, in the sense that they just can't seem to score despite playing so well. And even in the game against Guadalupe, they just about got a victory, 2-1 victory, and they had to come from behind as well. So, all in all, guys, this should set it for an interesting match. Obviously, guys, I will not give you guys my prediction in this video. I will do a separate video for my prediction. And so, yeah, just so you guys know. So that's it for today, guys. So that's my CONCACAF Gold Cup quarterfinal predictions. Let me go and reiterate my predictions. So I have is going to be a Qatar versus either USA or Jamaica. And then I'm going to have a Mexico versus Costa Rica in the semifinals. So that's it for today, guys. So remember, guys, to comment, subscribe, check out my description below for my Twitter, Discord, and my email. And comment down below any key talking points I didn't mention. If there's anything you guys feel I should have mentioned for the preview, I'm sure there probably is. I can't go over everything, guys. Have to do a condensed amount of time. And so, yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys do enjoy the video, guys. And remember, guys, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.